She's in the middle of a fight, chaos everywhere, covered in blood, and in the middle of all of it, she swallows the engagement ring. Not by accident, she looks at it and swallows it whole. Most people laughed. Raimi wanted you to laugh. But underneath that laugh, he buried something ancient. What you just watched wasn't a gag, it was an alchemical ritual, the literal consumption of a patriarchal contract. She didn't reject the ring, she didn't throw it into the ocean, she digested it. She took the symbol of ownership and made it part of herself, absorbed it completely. Sam Raimi hid an entire occult initiation inside this film, and today we are pulling 10 of those moments out into the light. Because once you see what he actually built inside his 2026 movie Send Help, you will not be able to watch it the same way again. Welcome to Occult Cinema, where the screen is the sigil, the isolation. Before anything else, before the boar, before the blood, before the golf club, you need to understand the container. The island is not a setting, it is a crucible. Every major initiatory tradition in human history, shamanic vision quests, mystery school ordeals, desert father retreats, hermetic trials, they all begin the same way. You are removed from society, stripped of your title, your status, your social mask, and placed somewhere that does not care who you are, because civilization is the mask, and the mask has to come off before the real work can begin. The plane crash is not where the story starts. It's where the old story ends. The moment that plane hits the water, Linda Little, the overlooked corporate employee, ceases to exist. What crawls onto that beach is something that hasn't had permission to exist yet. Now look at what the island does to each of them. Bradley brought his entire identity onto that beach. The title, the entitlement, the assumption that the world will organize itself around his comfort. And the island looks at all of that and does nothing. Nature does not recognize his credentials. The island cannot be managed, delegated to, or impressed. And without those tools, Bradley has nothing. No inner self, no real competence, nothing underneath the suit. Linda is the opposite. She already lived in isolation. The office was her first desert. Years of being overlooked, talked over, passed by. She had already learned to exist in a world that refused to see her. The island didn't create her resourcefulness, it just finally gave it room to breathe. This is the first occult principle the film establishes. The initiation doesn't build something new inside you. It reveals what was always there. The ordeal doesn't create the self. It strips away everything that was never the self to begin with. The island is the most honest place either of them has ever been, and only one of them can survive that kind of honesty. The boar. The island has established the container. Now it delivers the first test. And it doesn't send a puzzle. It doesn't send a moral dilemma. It sends a boar. The boar is one of the oldest underworld symbols in human mythology. In Celtic tradition, it is the creature of Anun, the otherworld, the realm of the dead. In Norse mythology, it is sacred to Freyr, the god of fertility and primal force. In Greek myth, the Erymanthian boar was one of Hercules' labors, a beast so savage it could only be subdued by someone who had already proven themselves worthy. The boar is not just an animal, it is the primal world announcing itself. It is nature saying, "Prove you belong here." Linda doesn't run, she crafts a spear. She hunts it, sets a trap, leaps onto its back with the first good attack, but that doesn't take the boar down. She needs the kill shot. And when the moment comes, she doesn't hesitate. She drives the spear into its eye, not the body. The eye, a few times for good measure. In occult symbolism, the eye is the seat of consciousness, the third eye, the witness. To destroy the eye is not just to kill, it is to dominate the very awareness of your opponent. She doesn't just end the boar's life, she extinguishes its sight, she claims total dominion, and then she brings the head back to camp. That detail matters. She doesn't leave it where it fell, she carries it back. In ancient ritual traditions, the trophy kill presented to the tribe is not a boast, it is an offering. It is the initiate saying to the sacred space, "I have passed your test. I am worthy of what comes next." This is the moment the initiation becomes irreversible. Before the boar, Linda could still have been rescued and returned to her old life relatively unchanged. After the boar, something has been permanently unlocked. The primal self has tasted blood, and it will not go back into the box. Linda's confession. The body has proven itself. Now the psyche has to crack open. This is how initiation works. The physical ordeal comes first. It breaks down the outer defenses. And then in the vulnerability that follows, the psychological wound surfaces. You cannot hide from yourself after you have killed a boar with a spear. At some point on that island, by firelight, with whatever fermented fruit the island has provided, Linda talks, thanks to the toilet wine she brewed, and what comes out is the real shadow. Her husband is dead, and she let it happen. She always took his keys. That was the pattern, that was her role, the responsible one, the one who managed everything and was thanked for nothing. But that night she didn't. She let him drive. And he crashed. And he died. Fire has been the setting for truth-telling rituals since before recorded history. Shamanic traditions, ancient mystery schools, indigenous ceremonies. The fire is not just warmth and light, it is a witness. It creates a sacred container where the mask becomes too heavy to hold. The alcohol loosens the veil between the conscious and unconscious self, and what lives beneath the surface finally speaks. What Linda confesses is not guilt in the ordinary sense. It is recognition. She saw who she was in that moment. Someone who had been managed and diminished for so long that when the opportunity came to stop managing someone else's destruction, she took it. Passively, quietly, with her hands in her lap. This is her method. Established before the island. Before Bradley. Before any of this. She does not kill directly. She engineers the conditions. She removes the safeguard. She steps back. And lets the destruction happen on its own. File that away. Because you are going to see it again. This is also the only moment of genuine vulnerability in the entire film. She will not confess again. She will not remove the mask again. After this night, the mask is not taken off. It is replaced with a stronger one. The shadow has been named, and named shadows do not disappear. They get integrated. The boat and the mansion. Every initiatory tradition has this moment, the door back. At some point in every mystery school ordeal, every vision quest, every shamanic trial, the initiate is given a choice. You can stop, you can return. The old world is still there. You can go back to who you were. Linda sees a boat. She doesn't signal it. She watches it pass. And she says nothing. This is not a survival decision. She has already proven she can survive. This is a spiritual decision. The conscious, deliberate choice to close the door on the old world and commit fully to the transformation that the island has begun. In occult initiation, this moment is everything. The initiate who turns back never completes the work. The initiate who stays changes forever. But the boat is only half of it. There is a mansion on the island. A fully stocked luxury property hidden in a part of the terrain she told Bradley was unreachable. She found it. She kept it. She said nothing. This is the gatekeeper archetype. One of the most ancient roles in esoteric tradition. The keeper of sacred knowledge. The one who decides who is worthy of access and who is not. Mystery schools did not publish their teachings. Temples did not open their inner sanctums to the uninitiated. Knowledge was rationed, revealed only to those who had earned it through ordeal. Linda has decided Bradley is not worthy, and she is right. The mansion represents everything the old world promised and withheld from her. Comfort, power, access. She found it through her own skill and instinct, and she will not hand it to a man who was handed everything he ever had. When Bradley eventually finds it, it is a violation. The profane breaching sacred space, and it is the moment the final confrontation becomes inevitable. She kept them both suffering longer than necessary, and in doing so, she deepened her own transformation. The ordeal extended is the ordeal completed more fully. The crucible held at higher heat produces purer gold. The castration threat. By this point in the film, the power dynamic has completely inverted, and Raimi wants to make sure you feel it in the most visceral way possible. Linda paralyzes Bradley with blue-ringed octopus toxin. He is fully conscious. He can hear everything. He can feel everything. But he can't move. And she picks up a knife. Now, here is what actually happens. She doesn't castrate him. She kills a rat off-frame and splashes its blood across his face. The castration is a performance, a psychological operation. He believes it is happening. His body believes it is happening. And that belief does more damage than the act itself ever could. This is the occult principle of the symbol doing the work of the substance. The image, the suggestion, the ritual gesture, these are not lesser versions of the real thing. In many traditions, they are more powerful, because they operate directly on the mind, on the will, on the deepest seat of fear. The rat is not an accident either. The rat is a creature of the underworld. Sewers, plague, hidden places, the spaces beneath civilization that polite society pretends don't exist. Linda has been living in those spaces her entire career, overlooked, underestimated, scurrying beneath the floors of the corporate world while men like Bradley stood on top of them. She weaponizes the despised. She weaponizes herself. She turns her world upside down and takes her power back. The Hanged Man in the Tarot, card 12, shows a figure suspended upside down, seeing the world from a completely inverted angle. The card is not about punishment, it is about the revelation that comes when the world is turned on its head. What was on top is now on the bottom. And from that new angle, hidden truths become visible. Bradley's power was always borrowed. His title came from his father. His promotion came from nepotism. His confidence came from a system designed to confirm it. Strip the system away and there is nothing there. Linda's power was always real. Suppressed, not absent. The island didn't give her anything. It just removed what was in the way. She has flipped the roles upside down, just like the hanged man. The waterfall dance. We need to stop here. Because in the middle of all this darkness, the blood, the deception, the psychological warfare, there is one moment in this film that is completely unguarded, completely pure, and it is the most important moment in the entire script if you want to understand what this film is really about. Linda dances at a waterfall, alone, flowers in her hair. No one is watching. She is not performing. She is not surviving. She is not strategizing. For one moment on this island, she is simply herself. In ancient pagan traditions, the image of a woman dancing alone in nature with flowers in her hair is not decorative. It is the goddess in her sovereign form, the May Queen, Persephone in the field before the descent into the underworld, the feminine principle in full communion with the natural world, before the fall, before the ordeal, before the transformation extracts its price. Water in esoteric symbolism is the unconscious, emotion, the deep self, the feminine principle. She is standing inside it, dancing inside her own unconscious, fully present, fully free. This is what she is fighting for. This is what all of it is about. Not the CEO title, not the revenge, not the power, this moment, this version of herself. And this is also what she ultimately loses. We will come back to that. But plant this image now. The woman at the waterfall with flowers in her hair. Because by the time this film ends, that woman is in a cage. The arm in the sand and the engagement ring. Sam Raimi made The Evil Dead in 1981, and he has never stopped speaking its language. There is a moment in Send Help where an arm rises from the sand, a hand, reaching upward from the earth, and on that hand, a wedding ring. If you know Evil Dead, you felt that image in your spine. Raimi knows exactly what he is doing. He is reaching across 40 years of his own filmmaking and pulling a visual sigil from his earliest work and planting it here. The dead reaching back, the past refusing to stay buried, the old contract clawing its way back to the surface. It's now Bradley's turn to kill a boar. He's stalking it, sees it on the beach, but scares it off from what it was eating. Then he sees what the boar was trying to eat. His wife's hand with the wedding ring on. Linda killed Bradley's wife, and now the earth itself is returning the symbol of that contract. Bradley now knows Linda is hiding things from him. He confronts her and they start fighting. They go back and forth until Bradley has her pinned, and in the moment she bites his finger and takes off the wedding ring. Linda swallows it. She holds it in her teeth, laughs, and swallows. In alchemy, the central operation is called solve et coagula, dissolve and recombine. You break the substance down to its most essential components, and then you rebuild it into something new and more refined. This is the entire arc of Linda's transformation, expressed in a single gesture. She does not wear the ring. She does not keep it as a trophy. She does not discard it. She dissolves it into herself. She takes the symbol of patriarchal ownership, the promise that a woman belongs to a man, and she makes it part of her own body. She absorbs it. She recombines with it. The arm in the sand is the old contract demanding to be honored. The swallowed ring is her answer. She has already taken it inside herself. It is already hers. There is nothing left to honor. The past reached back, and she consumed it. The shotgun bluff. Bradley finds the mansion. He finds the shotgun. And for one moment, he thinks he has won. He grabs it, points it. The power dynamic flips back in an instant. Or so he believes. The weapon is in his hands. The corporate order is restored. The boss is back in charge. The gun is empty. Linda knew it was empty. She gave him access to it knowing it was empty. She stepped back and let him pick it up. This is her method. The same method she used with her husband. The same method she used with the boat. She does not confront directly when she can engineer the conditions. She does not take the weapon away. She lets him take it himself. She removes the safeguard. She steps back, and she watches the destruction unfold. The profane always mistakes the symbol for the substance. Bradley sees a gun and believes he has power. But the gun was never the source of power on this island. Competence was, knowledge was, will was. Things Linda has always had, and Bradley has never possessed. In esoteric tradition, the uninitiated cannot wield sacred objects. The sword in the stone is not locked by magic, it is locked by unworthiness. The Grail cannot be found by the impure of heart. The symbol reveals the truth about the one who reaches for it. Bradley reaches for the gun and reveals exactly who he is. A man who has always needed the prop to feel powerful. A man who has never been the source of his own authority. By the time he picks up that empty gun, he is already a dead man. His body just hasn't received the message yet. The golf club. And now the message arrives. The golf club is not just a weapon. Understand what it represents before we talk about what she does with it. Golf is the sport of the inner sanctum, the exclusive club, the handshake network, the place where deals are made between men who were born into the room and will never let anyone else in. It is the physical symbol of the system that passed Linda over, that gave her job to a fraternity brother, that smiled at her in meetings and then made decisions without her in the hallway afterward. The golf club is the emblem of everything that was used to keep her out, and she kills him with it. But here is what makes this occult rather than just satisfying. She doesn't destroy the system, she absorbs it. She doesn't burn the golf club, she swings it. She picks up the tool of the oppressor, and she uses it to complete the ritual. This is the alchemical reversal, the base material transformed into the instrument of its own transcendence. And remember what we established in Chapter 7. She swallowed the engagement ring. She digested the old world's currency. She absorbed the symbol of ownership into her own body. And now she expends that absorbed power in the final act. The ring went in, the club comes down, the old world was consumed, and now it is being spent. The killing blow is not rage, it is not revenge in the ordinary sense, it is completion. The great work, the magnum opus of alchemical tradition, requires a sacrifice. The old form must be destroyed so the new form can exist. Bradley is not just a man being killed, he is the old order being dissolved, he is the base matter being cleared away so the gold can emerge. The great work requires a sacrifice, and the sacrifice has been made. The epilogue and the transformation arc. 1 year later, Linda Little is CEO of Bradley's family company. She has written a self-help book, she drives a luxury car, she gives speeches, she tells audiences, no help is coming. Start saving yourself. The transformation arc is complete, or so it appears. Let's read what actually happened through the lens of everything we've established. The memoir is not a book. It is a grimoire. A grimoire is a book of magical workings, spells, rituals, operations of will. Linda has taken the raw material of her ordeal and encoded it into a narrative that rewrites reality. She controls the story now. She decides what the island was. She decides who survived and who didn't. She decides what it means. The woman who was talked over in every meeting now controls the only version of events that anyone will ever hear. This is narrative magic, the most powerful kind, because it doesn't just change what people believe, it changes what is real. The CEO title is the completion of the great work, the magnum opus. In alchemical tradition, the great work ends with the production of the philosopher's stone, the substance that transforms base metal into gold. Linda began this process as base metal, overlooked, undervalued, passed over. She has been through the fire, the ordeal, the dissolution, and she has emerged as gold. She sits at the top of the very structure that tried to keep her at the bottom. And then, the bird. Earlier in the film, Linda mentions she has a bird at home. It is a small detail, easy to miss. You don't see the bird until the very end. She is in her luxury car, driving into her new life. And the bird is there, in a cage, riding with her. Go back to the waterfall, the flowers in her hair, the woman dancing alone in nature with no one watching. That was the bird. That was the soul in its wild state, free, unguarded, in full communion with the living world. And now it is in a cage. She did not lose her soul to Bradley. She did not lose it to the island. She lost it to the victory, the thing she had to become to win. The strategist, the architect of other people's destruction, the woman who steps back and removes the safeguard and watches. That thing does not dance at waterfalls. That thing builds cages. She got everything she wanted. She sits in the throne she fought for, and her soul rides beside her in a box. This is the price of initiation on the dark path. Not punishment from outside, no cosmic justice, no villain's defeat. Just the quiet, devastating arithmetic of what transformation on these terms actually costs. The screen was the sigil. The sigil worked. And the woman who danced at the waterfall is gone.